Let's take a look at this image. It is a detail from a video animation created based on the painting Children's Games by Pieter Bruegel the Elder. This animation was made for one of the exhibitions held in Brussels in 2019, commemorating the 450th anniversary of the painter's death. The original painting had no movement, obviously, but it already carried an intention to capture life. It seemed to be inviting modern technology to provide the technique that was missing in the 16th century. Two young children play, balancing on a wooden barrel, carefree, in the street, with no drama, no story, no aspirations. To our eyes, there is no other purpose than to capture a fleeting moment in the life of ordinary people. This approach to reality, to men and women, had not been very common in painting before Bruegel. Carl van Mander, in the first known biography of the painter, published in 1604, stated, "Nature made a singularly fortunate choice the day it selected, from among the peasants of a remote Brabant village, the humorous Pieter Bruegel, to become the painter of villagers." This emphatic statement solidified the idea of Bruegel as a simple painter, dedicated to humorously capturing everyday life and primarily portraying the urban and rural lower classes. Details such as the young boys on the barrel or the hunters in the snow were not unheard of in earlier painting, but centering an entire work on scenes like these was an undeniable novelty. But what does this idea of the peasant painter that has circulated since Van Mander's time really mean? Was his art truly popular and fundamentally simple? A closer look at his paintings, drawings, and prints reveals that the naivety suggested by his identification with villagers does not fully define him. Art history in recent decades has recognized Bruegel as a key figure in the renewal of Renaissance painting. His work introduced new formats and themes for the ornamentation of Flemish elite households. Van Mander noted that Bruegel began his career following in the footsteps of Bosch, copying his diableries and comic themes. Evidence of this can be seen in the secondary figures of the Triumph of Death and the Fall of the Rebel Angels. This taste for the grotesque is also present in one of his most peculiar works, Dieu le Gris, also known as Mad Meg. Bruegel chose the moment when Mad Meg marches to plunder hell with her army of women. This is no small detail. The scene is filled with references to Bosch, yet Bruegel constructs a unique image. Meg advances with a sword in hand, carrying a basket filled with her first spoils, jewels, chests, and a frying pan. The frying pan is key to interpreting the painting. It points to role reversal, to the women wearing the pants who frequently appear in Bruegel's world, to a satire that could be misogynistic, but also reflects a world in transformation. In times of war and despair, the traditional order was shifting, and its direction was uncertain. This role inversion is not just a narrative motif, but a tool to make the viewer reflect. When Bruegel painted Dieu le Gris, around 1562 to 63, he had already spent several years creating drawings for engravings. These works, heavily influenced by Bosch, were in high demand. However, Bruegel skillfully used his early fame to develop a unique artistic style. His work began to respond to a new demand for paintings intended for the domestic spaces of powerful Flemish patrons, courtiers, nobles, and merchants who were adopting a more modern way of interacting with images. These clients appreciated his visual inventiveness, which blended the comic with the reflective and allowed for new interpretations of humanity's place in the world. This interest in the human experience is evident throughout his work, from his winter landscapes, typical of the Little Ice Age, to his depictions of everyday life, village festivals, and rural labor. According to contemporary sources, these themes adorned the homes of the Flemish bourgeoisie and the elites connected to the Habsburg government. A notable example is the Census at Bethlehem, painted for Jan Vlemink, a bourgeois ennobled by Philip II of Spain. Although the subject is religious, the arrival of Mary and Joseph in Bethlehem to be registered, we now understand that it also served as a statement of social status. The painting depicted Vlemink's estates and emphasized his connection to the Habsburgs. Nevertheless, the viewer's interest was drawn to the multitude of common figures engaged in their daily activities. The reading of these landscapes and scenes allowed for multiple layers of interpretation, combining realistic observation with humorous delight. Bruegel also explored the world of satire, as demonstrated by his painting of Proverbs. These works were connected to the humanist and Erasmian interest in paremiology as a source of popular wisdom. Moreover, they were accessible to any viewer. The humanist cartographer Abraham Ortelius, a friend of the painter, claimed that all of Bruegel's works contained implicit meanings beyond the obvious. It has been suggested that his peasant scenes might have been an ironic commentary on the lavish urban banquets of the wealthy, turning them into conversation pieces at bourgeois dinners. For instance, it is known that the 6 panels of the Season series, which depicted rural labor throughout the year, hung in the dining room of the country estate of merchant Nicolaas Jongelik. This suggests that the depiction of peasants was not merely a record of rural life, but a sophisticated adaptation of classical literary concepts, possibly with a satirical tone. When Bruegel passed away on September 5, 1569, at the age of 43, he was the most renowned painter in Flanders and one of the few artists from Northern Europe who could compete with the Italians for the favor of the elite. His tomb in the Church of Notre Dame de la Chapelle in Brussels, erected by his son Jan Bruegel in 1598, is worthy of a noble. Even today, it proudly highlights his dedication to painting. The demand for his works multiplied after his death. His prints circulated throughout Europe, and his paintings, being scarce, led to a lucrative market for copies. This phenomenon demonstrates that scholarly interpretations of his paintings were not essential to appreciate his art. Beyond any moral or social message, Bruegel's success lies in his ability to capture the essence of human nature. His curiosity about common folk, his irony toward deviations from the norm, and his empathy for ordinary people remain, to this day, delightfully subversive. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and a comment with your thoughts on this artist. And if you'd like to have one of their paintings in your home, you can purchase your favorite from the website. The link is in the description, where you can check out the catalog and place your order. Shipping is completely free worldwide. A huge thanks to everyone who has placed an order. You make it possible for me to create videos like this. See you in the next video.